Charlie's mother was standing in the produce section of Kroger, holding up my old yearbook photo next to a screenshot from my OnlyFans page on her phone. The comparison was devastating. Innocent 18-year-old Sadie with braces and a choir uniform versus 23-year-old Sadie in lingerie and body oil. The screen brightness was turned all the way up, making the lace lingerie look vulgar under the harsh grocery store fluorescence. I watched from behind a display of avocados as her face crumpled with disgust. "This is who my son was going to marry," she said to the woman next to her, loud enough for half the store to hear. 4 years we welcomed her into our family. 4 years of Sunday dinners and Christmas mornings. And this whole time she was selling herself on the internet. I should have turned around and left. Should have abandoned my cart full of ramen noodles and energy drinks and slunk out through the automatic doors. But my feet stayed frozen to the linoleum floor as more shoppers gathered around Mrs. Patterson, drawn by the drama like flies to honey. "Show them the tattoo," someone urged her. "The one with her OnlyFans name." Mrs. Patterson swiped to another photo. There it was. The tramp stamp I'd gotten 3 months ago that said Sadie XO in cursive script. My content creator name. My brand. The thing I'd chosen over Charlie and everything we'd built together. That's when she spotted me. Our eyes met across the produce section, and for a second, I saw something worse than anger in her face. I saw pity. The same look she'd given me when I was 19 and showed up at their house crying because my dad had lost another job, back when she still thought I was good enough for her son. "Sadie," she called out, her voice carrying over the hum of the freezer units. "Come here." Every instinct told me to run, but I forced myself to walk toward her, my flip-flops slapping against the floor with each step. The small crowd parted to let me through, their eyes burning holes in my crop top and yoga pants. I recognized some of them. Parents from the neighborhood, people who'd known me since middle school. "Hi, Mrs. Patterson," I managed, my voice barely above a whisper. She held up her phone, the screen still showing that photo of me with the tattoo. "Is this really how you wanted Charlie to find out? Through a viral TikTok video that half of Henderson has seen?" I opened my mouth to explain, to tell her how it wasn't supposed to happen like this, how I'd been planning to tell Charlie eventually, how the money was just too good to pass up. But what came out was, "It's just content creation. Everyone's doing it now." The slap came so fast I didn't see it coming. The sound cracked through the aisle like a gunshot, silencing the hum of the freezers. Someone in the back gasped, and I saw 3 more phones go up. Camera lenses pointed directly at my burning face. Mrs. Patterson had never raised a hand to anyone in her life, but there she stood, trembling with rage, her palms still raised. "Content creation," she spat. "Is that what you call destroying my son? He's been in his childhood bedroom for 2 weeks, Sadie. Won't eat, won't go to work. Just stares at the ceiling, wondering how the girl he loved could lie to him every single day for months." 2 weeks. That meant Charlie had known since the video went viral. He'd known and hadn't said anything to me, hadn't answered my calls or texts. I'd assumed he was just busy with his new job at the engineering firm, the one he'd worked so hard to get. The job that was supposed to be our ticket to a better life. "I tried calling him," I said weakly. "From what number?" Mrs. Patterson laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Your real phone? Or the burner phone you use for your business?" "Yes, we found out about that too. Charlie went through the phone records, saw all those late-night calls to numbers he didn't recognize. Times you told him you were at work or studying for your online classes." The crowd was getting bigger. I could see people pulling out their phones, probably recording this confrontation to post on their own social media. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd built my career on going viral, and now my real life was becoming content for strangers to consume. "I never cheated on him," I said, desperate to salvage something from this disaster. "Those calls were just what? Phone sex with men paying by the minute? Is that supposed to make him feel better?" She turned to address the crowd, waving her phone like evidence in a courtroom. 600,000 followers. That's what my future daughter-in-law has. 600,000 strangers who've seen more of her than my son ever did. And you want to know the best part? I didn't want to know, but she was going to tell me anyway. She made a video last month. It's right here on her page, where she jokes about her vanilla boyfriend who doesn't know what she really does for money, laughing about how clueless he is. That's my Charlie she's talking about. The man who loved her with his whole heart. My stomach churned. That video had been a mistake, posted during a wine-drunk live stream where my subscribers kept asking about my personal life. I'd thought I was being clever, mysterious, building my brand as the girl next door with a secret. I never used Charlie's name, never showed his face. I told myself it didn't count as betrayal if I kept him anonymous. Mrs. Patterson, please, can we talk about this somewhere private? Private? She stepped closer, and I could smell her perfume, the same lavender scent she'd worn to every family gathering. You gave up your right to privacy when you decided to sell it for $50 a month. Oh yes, I know your subscription price. I know your tip menu. I know you charge $100 for custom videos and $200 for video calls. I know because half the men in Henderson know, including your father's co-workers. That hit me like a second slap. My dad. I hadn't even thought about him finding out through his job at the construction company. The guys he worked with were exactly the demographic who subscribed to OnlyFans. Blue-collar men looking for an escape after long days of physical labor. Does he know? I asked, my voice cracking. Your father? Oh, honey, he found out last week when Derek from his crew showed him your TikTok, said he threw up in the parking lot, hasn't been back to work since. She shook her head. Your mother won't leave the house. Says she can't face the neighbors knowing what you've become. The weight of it all crashed down on me at once. In chasing easy money and internet fame, I'd destroyed everything. Charlie, my parents, the future we'd all imagined together. And for what? For an apartment I was about to lose anyway because I'd spent all my earnings on designer clothes and vacations, thinking the money would never stop flowing. I need to talk to Charlie, I said, pushing past her toward the exit. I need to explain. Explain what? Mrs. Patterson called after me. That you chose showing your body to strangers over the man who would have given you everything? That you laughed about him online while he was working overtime to save for an engagement ring? I froze. An engagement ring. Charlie had been saving for a ring while I was sneaking around creating content in our bedroom while he slept. The same bedroom where he'd held me through anxiety attacks and food poisoning and the death of my grandmother. The place where we'd planned our future, naming kids we'd never have, designing a house we'd never build. 3 carats, Mrs. Patterson continued, her voice breaking. He showed it to me 2 months ago. Said he wanted my approval before he proposed on your 5-year anniversary. I gave him my grandmother's wedding band to have it resized for you. Do you know what he did with those rings after he found out about your career? I turned back, tears streaming down my face. The crowd had grown silent, watching this tragedy unfold between the organic bananas and the pre-packaged salads. He sold them, she said simply. Used the money to pay for therapy because he can't sleep anymore, can't eat, can't understand how the woman he loved could build an entire life based on lies. Do you know what his therapist told him? That this is a form of betrayal trauma. That partners of sex workers often experience the same symptoms as those who've been cheated on. Except it's worse because you didn't just share your body with one person, you shared it with thousands. It's not sex work, I protested weakly. It's just photos and videos. I never met anyone in person. Tell that to Charlie when he's lying awake wondering if every man he passes on the street has seen his girlfriend naked. Tell that to your father when his boss pulls him aside to say maybe he should take some time off because it's affecting team morale. Tell that to your teenage brother who's getting bullied at school because his sister is Henderson's most famous OnlyFans model. My brother. 15-year-old Ethan who still wore superhero t-shirts and played Minecraft. I'd been so careful to keep my last name off everything, but the internet had ways of connecting dots. Some dedicated creep had probably tracked down my family through social media, piecing together clues from my content. "Is Ethan okay?" I asked, genuinely concerned for the first time since this conversation started. "No, Sadie, he's not okay. He got suspended for fighting after someone played your TikTok in the cafeteria. Your mother had to pick him up, and you know what he said in the car? That he wished you were dead. That it would be easier to explain to people that his sister died than to explain what you've become." Each word was another nail in my coffin. I'd rationalized everything over the past year, told myself that what I was doing was empowering, that I was taking control of my sexuality and my finances, that anyone who judged me was just jealous or closed-minded. But standing there in Kroger, facing the wreckage of my choices, I couldn't hide behind those justifications anymore. "I'll delete everything," I said desperately. "I'll shut down all my accounts. I'll get a normal job. I'll fix this." Mrs. Patterson laughed again, that same hollow sound. "Delete it? Honey, the internet is forever. Those photos, those videos, they're out there now, screen-recorded, downloaded, shared on forums you've never heard of. Charlie will spend the rest of his life knowing that any man he meets might have paid to see his ex-girlfriend's content. You can't delete that kind of damage." She was right. Even if I nuked every account, scrubbed every trace of Sadie XO from the internet, the content would live on in dark corners of the web. Men would be jerking off to my photos long after I'd moved on, tried to build a normal life, maybe even started a family of my own. "What am I supposed to do?" I asked, more to myself than to her. "Live with it," she said coldly. "Live with knowing you had a man who adored you, a family who welcomed you, a future that was bright and real and solid. And you traded it all for validation from strangers, and money you've already spent on things that don't matter." She turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and Sadie, that apartment you share with Charlie? He's been staying with us, but he's the only one on the lease. I made sure of that when you two moved in together. He asked me to tell you that you have 30 days to find somewhere else to live. His lawyer will be in touch about dividing the furniture." His lawyer. Charlie had hired a lawyer to deal with me, the same man who used to leave post-it notes on the bathroom mirror reminding me how beautiful I was, now communicated through legal representation. Mrs. Patterson walked away, leaving me standing there as the crowd slowly dispersed, their entertainment over. Some looked at me with disgust, others with pity. A few younger women gave me knowing looks. Maybe they had their own secret OnlyFans accounts, their own double lives that hadn't been exposed yet. I abandoned my shopping cart and stumbled out to my car, a BMW I'd leased with my first big OnlyFans payout. Another stupid decision. The payments were $800 a month, and my subscriber count had been dropping ever since the TikTok went viral. Turns out men don't want to pay for content when they can see the drama for free on social media. I sat in the driver's seat, gripping the leather steering wheel of a car I couldn't afford anymore. I had zero savings. I'd spent it all on lighting equipment, lingerie hauls, and the lifestyle content my subscribers demanded. But I spent it fast, forgetting about taxes, assuming subscribers would always stay. I was technically rich on paper, but in reality, I was one missed payment away from bankruptcy. My phone buzzed non-stop. Instagram DMs, TikTok comments, OnlyFans subscribers asking if the video was real. The constant ding of notifications created a soundtrack to my anxiety. Was I really the girl whose boyfriend didn't know? Was I really getting kicked out of my apartment? Could I do a custom video addressing the drama? Add a tip menu to my humiliation? That last one made me laugh bitterly. Even now, in the middle of my life falling apart, people wanted to turn my pain into content. And wasn't that exactly what I'd done? Turned my relationship, my privacy, my dignity into consumable content for strangers who didn't care about me beyond their next orgasm? I scrolled through my OnlyFans dashboard, looking at the numbers that had once made me feel so powerful. Top 7% of all creators. Over 500,000 in gross earnings over the past year. Numbers that meant nothing now that I had no one to share them with, nowhere to live, no family to go home to. The thing about sex work, and yes, Mrs. Patterson was right, it was sex work even if I'd never admitted it to myself, is that it seems so easy when you start. Just a few pictures, just some flirty messages, just your body on a screen, divorced from your real self. You tell yourself you're in control, that you're the one with the power. These men are paying you, after all. They're the desperate ones. But control is an illusion when your income depends on keeping strangers interested. When you have to push boundaries to stand out from millions of other creators. When you find yourself doing things on camera that you'd never do in real life, all for tips and likes and subscribers who'll forget about you the moment someone newer and more exciting comes along. I drove home. To Charlie's apartment, I corrected myself, not home anymore. In a daze. The familiar streets of Henderson looked different now, poisoned by the knowledge of how many people had seen my videos. Was that man walking his dog a subscriber? Had the teenager on the skateboard shared my TikTok with his friends? Did the mom pushing a stroller whisper about me at playgroup? The apartment building's parking garage felt like a tomb. Charlie's spot was empty. Of course it was. He'd probably been avoiding this place since he found out, unable to stomach being in the space where I'd filmed content while he slept trustingly in the next room. I used to wait until I heard his snoring before sneaking out to the living room with my ring light and tripod. Set up elaborate scenes on the couch where we'd watched movies together, on the kitchen counter where he'd made me birthday pancakes. Every surface in this apartment had been defiled by my choices, turned into a set for content that helped me pay Charlie back for covering my share when I was broke. I'd told myself I was being smart, resourceful, using what I had to get ahead, but all I'd really done was contaminate every memory we'd made here. The apartment was exactly as I'd left it that morning, but it felt like a museum now. Charlie's engineering textbooks still stacked on the dining table. His coffee mug in the sink with a ring of dried coffee at the bottom. The blanket his grandmother had crocheted for us draped over the couch. Evidence of a life that no longer existed. I found the note on the bedroom dresser next to the jewelry box he'd given me for Christmas last year. My hands were shaking so hard the paper rattled. I had to set it down on the bed just to focus on the words. His handwriting, usually so messy I used to tease him about becoming a doctor, was carefully printed like he'd wanted to make sure I could read every word. Sadie, I've tried to write this letter 100 times. I've started with anger, with hurt, with confusion. But what I keep coming back to is love. I loved you so much that I ignored every red flag. The late nights you said you were working, the new clothes you couldn't explain affording, the way you'd tense up when I touched your phone. I blamed myself, thought I wasn't giving you enough attention because of school and work, thought maybe you were depressed or stressed. I made excuses for you because the alternative, that you were lying to me every single day, was too painful to consider. When Derek showed me that TikTok, my first instinct was to defend you, to say it must be someone who looked like you, or a deep fake, or some kind of mistake. Even when I recognized our apartment in the background of your videos. Even when I saw the necklace I gave you for our anniversary hanging between your breasts for strangers to admire. Do you know what the worst part is? It's not that you did OnlyFans. If you'd come to me, said you wanted to try it, we could have talked about it. Maybe I would have been uncomfortable, but we could have worked through it together like we worked through everything else. The worst part is that you made me a joke, your vanilla boyfriend who was too boring to know what you really wanted. I saw the comments on that video. Men laughing about how clueless I must be. Women saying you should dump me for someone more exciting. You hearted those comments, Sadie. You encouraged strangers to mock the man who would have died for you. I've been staying with my parents, trying to understand how I missed this. My therapist says it's not my fault, that people can live double lives for years without their partners knowing. But I can't help feeling like I failed you somehow. Like if I'd been better, richer, more exciting, you wouldn't have needed to find validation from strangers on the internet. My mom wants me to hate you. My friends say I should expose every detail of our relationship, fight back against the story you've created online. But I can't. Because for 4 years, 7 months and 13 days, you were my everything. And that person, the one who sang in the shower and stole my hoodies and cried at dog videos, she was real, even if Sadie XO wasn't. I'm not going to make this ugly. Take what you need from the apartment. I'll stay with my parents until you're gone. The lease ends in 2 months, and I won't renew it. I can't live somewhere that's been turned into a film set for your other life. I hope the money was worth it. I hope the followers and the tips and the viral fame fill the hole that I apparently couldn't. I hope someday you find someone who makes you feel valuable for more than your body, the way I tried to. I loved you with everything I had. It just wasn't enough. Charlie, P.S. Your dad came by yesterday. He wanted me to tell you that your stuff is in boxes in their garage whenever you're ready to pick it up. Your mom couldn't bear to do it herself. The letter blurred as tears streamed down my face. I'd expected anger, accusations, maybe even threats to expose me the way I'd exposed myself. But this quiet devastation was worse. Charlie had loved me the way people write about in fairy tales. And I'd treated that love like it was worthless compared to the attention of strangers who didn't even know my real name. I sat on the bed, our bed, where we'd made love and planned our future and held each other through nightmares, and finally let myself feel the weight of what I'd lost. Not just Charlie, but the life we'd built together. The inside jokes and shared dreams and comfortable silences, the way he'd unconsciously reach for me in his sleep, the future children we'd named during playful conversations about someday. My phone kept buzzing with OnlyFans notifications, new subscribers drawn by the drama, messages asking if I was okay, if I needed someone to talk to, always followed by requests for custom content. The algorithm loved tragedy, and my destroyed relationship was driving traffic to my page. I opened the app one last time, looking at my statistics. 700,000 followers now, top 5% of creators, numbers climbing every hour as people searched for the girl whose vanilla boyfriend had found out. My inbox was full of opportunities. Collaboration offers from other creators, messages from sugar daddies promising to take care of me, even a contract from a porn production company that had seen my viral moment as marketing gold. This was what I'd wanted, wasn't it? Fame, money, attention, men telling me I was beautiful, desirable, worth paying for, independence from the ordinary life that Charlie had offered, the split-level house in the suburbs, the minivan full of kids, the joint checking account, and shared Netflix password. I'd thought that life was boring, settling for less than I deserved. Now I'd give anything to have it back. But Mrs. Patterson was right. You can't delete the internet. You can't undo the choices that led to this moment. I was Sadie XO now, forever branded as the OnlyFans girl who destroyed her perfect relationship for clicks and cash. Any man I dated in the future would eventually find out. Any job I applied for would Google my name and find the drama. My future children would grow up knowing their mother had sold herself to strangers while their father had been planning to propose. I started packing with mechanical precision, folding clothes into boxes like I could organize my way out of this disaster. Charlie's t-shirts were mixed with mine in the dresser, soft cotton reminders of lazy Sunday mornings and stolen comfort. I used to wear his shirts in my content sometimes, telling subscribers they were from an ex who didn't appreciate me. Another lie to add to the pile. The bathroom was worse. 2 toothbrushes in the holder, his and hers towels, the shower caddy full of the expensive products I'd bought with OnlyFans money while he still used the same 3-in-1 shampoo he'd had since college. He'd never questioned how I could suddenly afford $100 skincare when I'd been complaining about being broke just months before. That beautiful, trusting fool had believed me when I said I'd gotten a raise at the boutique. I found the ring box in his sock drawer while looking for any of my things that might have migrated there. Empty now, but the velvet still held the impression of what had been inside. 3 carats, his mother had said. He'd probably gone into debt for it, taking on extra shifts to afford something special because that's who Charlie was. The kind of man who believed love should be celebrated with sacrifice and commitment, not monetized for monthly subscriptions. My phone rang, a number I didn't recognize, probably another journalist wanting to interview the girl behind the viral TikTok. I'd had offers from podcasts, YouTube channels, even a documentary crew that wanted to follow my story. Everyone wanted to profit from my pain, the same way I'd profited from selling my intimacy. I answered anyway, desperate for any distraction from packing up my life. "Sadie, this is Jennifer from Henderson Regional High School. I'm calling about your brother Ethan." My heart dropped. "Is he okay? Did something happen?" "He's in the nurse's office. There was another incident today. Some students found your content and were sharing it in class. Ethan became violent. We're going to need a parent or guardian to come pick him up, but we haven't been able to reach your mother or father." "I'll come," I said immediately. "I'll be there in 15 minutes. "I'm not sure that's wise," Jennifer said carefully. "Given the circumstances, perhaps another family member?" Even the school knew. My baby brother, who still asked me to check for monsters under his bed when I visited, was suffering because of my choices. And now, I wasn't even considered appropriate to pick him up from school. "Please," I begged. "He's my brother. I need to see him." "I'll have to check with the principal. Hold, please." The hold music was tinny and cheerful, a stark contrast to the weight crushing my chest. When Jennifer came back, her tone was professional but cold. "The principal says you can come, but you'll need to park in the back lot and come through the side entrance. We'd prefer to avoid any disruption to the other students." I was a disruption now, a scandal to be managed, the kind of person who had to sneak in back doors to avoid contaminating the normal people. The drive to Ethan's school was tortuous. Every red light felt like judgment, every pedestrian a potential subscriber who'd seen me naked. Henderson had always felt like a big small town, where everyone knew everyone else's business. Now my business was splashed across the internet for anyone to consume. The school's back parking lot was empty except for a maintenance van and a few teacher cars. I'd attended this same school years ago, had my first kiss under the bleachers, made honor roll and prom court. Now I was sneaking in like a criminal, hoping not to be recognized by any staff who might remember the bright-eyed girl I'd been. The nurse's office smelled the same as it had when I was a student, antiseptic and graham crackers. Ethan was sitting on the paper-covered bed, his eye already swelling shut, knuckles bloody. He looked so small in his oversized hoodie, nothing like the class clown who made everyone laugh with his impressions and magic tricks. "Ethan," I started, but he turned away from me. "Don't," he said, his voice thick with tears he was too proud to shed. "Just don't." The nurse busied herself with paperwork, pretending not to watch our interaction. I wanted to hug my brother, to promise I'd fix everything, but how could I when I was the reason he was sitting here with a black eye? "Come on," I said quietly. "Let's get you home." "Mom doesn't want you at the house," he mumbled. "She said if you showed up, I should call Dad." Another blow. My own mother had banned me from the home where I'd grown up, the kitchen where she'd taught me to make her famous lasagna, the living room where we'd had family game nights every Friday, the backyard where Ethan and I had built elaborate fort systems every summer. "Then where am I supposed to take you?" I asked, fighting back tears. "Dad's at Uncle Rob's shop. He said to bring me there." Uncle Rob's auto shop, where half the mechanics had probably seen my content, where my father would have to face his brother's questions about how he'd raised a daughter who'd turned out like this. The drive to the shop was silent except for Ethan's occasional sniffle. I wanted to ask about the fight, about what exactly had been said, but the set of his jaw told me he wasn't ready to talk. My baby brother, who used to tell me everything, had built a wall between us that might never come down. The shop was busy, the bays full of cars, and the waiting room crowded with customers. I could feel eyes on us as we walked through, whispers following in our wake. My father was in the back office, and when he looked up and saw us, his face went through a series of emotions. Relief that Ethan was okay, rage at his injured face, and something worse when his eyes landed on me. Disappointment so profound it made my knees weak. "Sit," he told Ethan, gesturing to a chair. Then to me, "You, outside." I followed him to the small smoking area behind the shop, even though neither of us smoked. He looked older than he had a month ago, gray streaking through his hair that hadn't been there before, lines around his eyes that spoke of sleepless nights. "Dad," I started, but he held up a hand. "Your mother's filed for separation," he said without preamble. "Not from me, from you. Legal documents saying you're no longer welcome in our home or around Ethan until he's 18. The ground tilted beneath my feet. "She can't do that. I'm their daughter." "You were their daughter," he corrected. "Now you're the reason Ethan comes home with bruises. The reason your mother can't go to her book club. The reason I eat lunch in my truck instead of the break room because I can't stand the way the guys look at me. I never meant to... What? Meant to sell your body to my coworkers? Meant to laugh about your boyfriend online while he was working himself sick to buy you a ring? Meant to destroy everything we built as a family for some quick cash?" Each word hit like Mrs. Patterson's slap, sharp and deserved. My father had worked construction for 30 years, breaking his back to give us a good life. He'd been so proud when I graduated high school, talking about his daughter who was going to college, who was dating that nice engineering student who was going to have a better life than he'd managed. "The money was just so easy," I said weakly. "I was making more in a week than you make in a month." His face went red, then purple, then settled into something worse than anger. Defeat. "Is that what you think matters? Money? I would have lived in a cardboard box if it meant raising decent kids. Your mother and I went without so you and Ethan could have everything. And you threw it back in our faces for some easy money that's already gone." He was right. The money had flowed out as fast as it had come in. Designer clothes that now felt like costumes, trips to Miami and Vegas that I'd posted all over Instagram, cosmetic procedures to keep up with other creators. I'd been so focused on making more that I'd never thought about saving any. Why bother when the subscriptions kept rolling in? "What am I supposed to do?" I asked, hating how small my voice sounded. "Live with your choices," he said, echoing Mrs. Patterson. "Find somewhere else to stay. Get a real job if anyone will hire you. Try to build something that isn't based on lies and exhibitionism. And Ethan stays away from you until he's old enough to decide for himself if he wants you in his life. Your mother's already looking into transferring him to private school, Catholic school, where maybe they can instill some values since we clearly failed. Catholic school tuition. Another expense my family couldn't afford but would take on because of me. Another burden I'd created in my pursuit of easy money and internet fame. Can I at least say goodbye?" He considered this for so long I thought he'd say no. Finally, he nodded. 5 minutes. "And Sadie? After today, don't come to the shop. Don't come to the house. Don't try to contact us. Your mother's heart can't take it, and Ethan needs to heal without you making it worse." I found Ethan in the office, holding an ice pack to his eye while scrolling through his phone. When he saw me, he quickly shut it off, but not before I saw he'd been looking at the comments on that viral TikTok, reading what strangers were saying about his sister. "I'm sorry," I said, the words pathetically inadequate. "I'm so sorry you're going through this because of me." He looked up at me, and for a moment I saw the little boy who used to beg me to read him one more story at bedtime. Then his expression hardened into something I'd never seen before. "Kyle Morrison airplayed the video in gym class," he said quietly. "The one where you're in lingerie talking about your vanilla boyfriend. He said his brother subscribed to you. Said he'd seen way worse stuff if I wanted to pay for it." Bile rose in my throat. 15-year-old boys discussing my content, treating my brother like he should be proud of what I'd done. This was the legacy I'd created. Not empowerment or financial independence, but shame and violence following my family wherever they went. "I'll delete everything," I promised again, knowing it was useless. "I'll disappear from the internet. Change my name if I have to." "It doesn't matter," Ethan said, sounding far too mature for his age. "Everyone already knows. They've all seen it. Even if you delete it, they have screenshots, recordings. It's never going away." He was right. The internet is forever, and I'd fed myself to it willingly, dragging everyone I loved along as collateral damage. "I love you," I said, meaning it with every fiber of my being. "No matter what happens, you're my brother, and I love you." He stood up, shouldering his backpack with the ice pack still pressed to his face. "Yeah, well, love doesn't mean much when you're getting punched because of it." He walked past me without another word, out to where our father was waiting to drive him home. To the house where I was no longer welcome. Where my childhood bedroom would be turned into something else. All traces of me erased like I'd never existed. I sat in that empty office for a long time, listening to the sounds of the shop. Normal people getting their cars fixed, living their normal lives, having normal problems that didn't involve their daughter or sister or girlfriend selling herself online. When I finally left, I avoided eye contact with everyone, sneaking out like the pariah the whole town now knew me to be. The drive back to Charlie's apartment, I had to stop thinking of it as ours, was a blur. My phone rang constantly. Unknown numbers that could be reporters or subscribers, or potential employers who'd Googled me. My OnlyFans notifications were going crazy, the subscriber count climbing toward 1 million as my personal catastrophe became public entertainment. Top 5%, soon to be top 3%, maybe even top 1% if the momentum continued. Everything I'd thought I wanted, achieved through the destruction of everything that actually mattered. I found myself parked outside Charlie's parents' house without consciously deciding to go there. His car was in the driveway, that sensible Honda he'd bought used and maintained meticulously. No BMW lease payments or designer modifications, just reliable transportation for a man who valued substance over style. I couldn't go to the door, couldn't face Mrs. Patterson again or see what I'd done to Charlie. But I needed him to know that the girl in those videos, the one who'd laughed about her clueless boyfriend, wasn't the real me. Or maybe she was, and that was the worst part. Maybe I'd always been selfish and shallow, and it had just taken OnlyFans to reveal it. I wrote the text message 12 times, deleting and starting over, trying to find words that could convey the depth of my regret. Finally, I settled on simplicity. "I know you'll never forgive me, and you shouldn't. But you were the best thing in my life, and I threw you away for nothing. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. You deserve someone who sees your worth without needing the whole world to validate theirs first." I hit send before I could change my mind, then immediately blocked his number. Not because I didn't want to hear from him, but because I didn't deserve to. He needed to heal without me popping up in his life, reminding him of the betrayal every time my name appeared on his screen. The apartment felt like a tomb when I returned. I had 30 days to figure out where to go, what to do, how to build a life from the ashes I'd created. My OnlyFans money would dry up eventually. It always did when the drama died down and subscribers moved on to the next scandal. I needed a real job, but who would hire Henderson's most notorious OnlyFans model? I spent the night packing, each box a small funeral for the life I'd destroyed. Charlie's things I left untouched, shrines to the man I'd never deserved. By dawn, my entire existence was reduced to a pile of boxes and trash bags, ready to be loaded into the BMW I couldn't afford to keep. My phone showed 57 missed calls, 300 new Instagram messages, and 1,000 new OnlyFans subscribers overnight. The algorithm loved tragedy, and I was its current favorite meal. Content creators were already making reaction videos to my story, dissecting where I'd gone wrong, using my pain as a cautionary tale for their own audiences. I looked around the apartment one last time at the life I'd shared with Charlie and contaminated with my choices. The girl who'd moved in here 4 years ago, full of love and hope and dreams of a simple, happy future, would be horrified by what I'd become. But that girl was gone, replaced by Sadie XO, who'd traded everything real for the validation of strangers who'd forget her name as soon as the next pretty face appeared on their screen. There was no going back, no deleting the past, no redemption arc waiting in the wings, just the consequences of my choices, following me wherever I went, branded across my life like the tattoo on my lower back. I was the cautionary tale now, the example parents would use to warn their daughters about the dangers of selling yourself for quick money and empty fame. I loaded my boxes into the BMW and drove away from Charlie's apartment for the last time, heading toward a future I couldn't imagine, built on the ruins of a past I'd destroyed for nothing more than pixels on a screen and numbers in an app. The morning sun was rising over Henderson, casting long shadows across the town that had watched me grow up and then watched me fall. I refreshed the page. Another 100 subscribers, another $1,000. The internet doesn't care if you're happy, as long as you're entertaining. Top 3% of creators. 0% chance of ever getting back what I'd lost. But hey, at least the content was good.